Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Manga Men. I am Jones, and welcome my co-host King. Today, we're going to be covering
Hello.
volumes 1 through 2 of a new manga that King actually kind of put me on. Said it was pretty big. Ichi the Witch, volume 1 and 2, um, written by Osamu Nishi and drawn by Shiro Usazaki. And you might know them from Osamu Nishi wrote story and art for Hotel Helheim, which I have heard of, haven't read, and I am kind of unfamiliar with the artist, but the artist did some work with what is it here? It seems that I have lost the what I was going to talk about. Act Age is their most popular thing that I can find. I haven't heard of that one, but anyways, dropping right into it. Um, Welcome, King. How,
Welcome.
how was the manga? Initial thoughts, little statements here and there.
So I like it. I mean, the first I guess big reason why I picked it is just because I've heard so many high praises about it. Everyone been like, this is the new Shonen Jump manga. Like this is rivaling Naruto and My Hero Academia. Like
Really,
this is the new
Naruto
thing. I I mean I've heard some
rivaling Naruto.
pretty
I don't know about that. After reading the first two
I
volumes,
I don't either.
I don't know
I
about
can
that.
see it. I can see it doing well. It rivals Demon Slayer.
You think? Okay. I
I
need to.
think.
I need to. I haven't actually. This is. Oh man. I don't want to like deplatform us, but I haven't read Demon Slayer.
Well,
I haven't
I don't think
watched much of it either. I
I
watched
don't
it in
think you're missing
Arabic.
much.
Like I watched Demon Slayer in Arabic, like a few episodes, and that's
Wow.
about it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Very very beautiful anime.
the Arabic dub is so good.
Yeah.
The Arabic voice actors, and it's all indie. It's not official. They really put their heart out into it. But
That's awesome.
anyways, kind of getting off of that, talking about the manga. Yeah, you brought it to me saying that it was something new from Shonen Jump, something big, kind of like their next hit, and that we should give it a shot. Looked at the synopsis. It didn't seem like something that I would really like. I thought I would kind of outright just dislike it. And I mean, if you pay attention to the manga that you know that I chose, especially when King was gone and I was having a lot of guests on back before we had our hiatus, you kind of know the stuff that I prefer to read. Um, and it's not like this. However, I was pleasantly surprised reading these first two volumes. I didn't necessarily like it. I didn't think it was this magical masterpiece thing, but
Mhm.
no pun intended, because it is a wizard kind
Uh,
of. I called it. I labeled it in my notes as pop fantasy, but
yeah.
uh, it's basically what I'm trying to say is I didn't think that I would like it. I wouldn't say that it's super amazing, but it wasn't something that I was unhappy with. I thought it was pretty good.
Yeah.
Um, Kind of starting off with the plot here. It follows a young man slash old boy. I don't know. You don't really get his exact age.
Oh boy.
What he could be like 14 or 15
Yeah, no,
or
I mean
exceeding
he
in that range, or he could be 18, 19. I don't know. He's definitely not in his 20s. I can tell you that. He's pretty young.
yeah.
But essentially it follows this guy. His name's Ichi, hence the name Ichi the Witch. And he is a hunter in a small mountain village, and orphaned at a young age, and kind of learned to support himself in the woods by hunting. And he slays a magical creature that is creatively named a magic, which is kind of lazy storytelling in my opinion, but hey. And kind of takes its power and becomes a witch. And the big part is he becomes the first male witch that exists in this magical world, and essentially just says, well, I want to hunt. And that's about it with the plot. He's a hunter, he hunts a magical creature, becomes a witch, and then just says, well, I want to hunt. So your initial thoughts reading this, King? What were
So
your initial
initial
reactions?
thoughts. So when they show us the main character Ichi,
Mm-hmm.
they kind of show you how, I guess, depraved from civilization he is. So I mean, you already stated that he's living out in the woods. He's a hunter, but I think there's a little bit more to him than just that, including his like ideologies and his personality. He lives kind of by the mantra "kill or be killed" type thing, and he also
But also like
lives.
live, let live at the same time.
Yes,
And
and
they try to say death for death in the manga, which I think is a
yeah,
really it's a very weak
and that's
phrase.
why I chose my word
Yeah,
as "kill
it's
or
a
be
weak
killed."
phrase,
It's
but
kind
he
of a
lives both kill or be killed, but also understands live and let live at the same
life.
time. So he's very much like, you know, well, if this rabbit is going to be the difference between me eating, I have to kill it. And like, well, that wolf over there looked at me and then just went back to its business. I'm not going to kill the wolf, kind of a
Yeah,
thing, you know. But if the wolf
but
attacks, a different story.
he also kind of has a like a sense of being able to determine if something is, I guess, inherently malicious and a killer, where he can tell like if a hungry wolf is looking at him, he knows that he has to kill it. But
Yeah,
he can also
he
tell that
like that.
from like say a person. He can tell if someone's inherently evil just because of his keen hunter sense. And I think that kind of that
And
fuels him in
I
being
wouldn't say
a
inherently evil, and we might talk about this part later on, but he does like attack a mirror at one point because he can sense like kind of like you said, maliciousness, but not necessarily
yeah
evil. It's more that he's
mm,
sensing the aspect that he's being stalked.
yeah like a negative energy.
Yeah, so it's not quite that he's sensing like evil, he's just sensing
Yeah.
being watched, but in a more complicated sense, I guess.
But I so they also show Ichi kind of going into the town and like meeting up with this girl in a carriage. And I liked that part because it kind of shows that Ichi, while living in the wilderness, is still
He's
not
a member of his
super.
community still, and people know
Yes.
him, and he
And they like him.
yeah,
He's
no,
not just seen as like some weirdo from the mountains. I mean, he kind of is, but they are kind of like, oh, it's Ichi. Like,
well, it's
of
like,
course
you
he
know,
is.
when you were a kid growing up, right? So this
Mm-hmm.
might let's rub our heads together, King. So when we were growing up together, because me and
Yeah.
King did grow up together. Fun fact.
Mm-hmm.
Um, was there somebody who we thought was super weird, but we also thought was like still kind of chill?
Absolutely.
Exactly. Right. And I'm not naming names on the podcast for privacy reasons, of course, but you know,
Yeah.
it's everybody has that weird old guy or old lady or weirdo kid that they went to school with or whatever, right? Who they may have been out there, but they were genuinely a good person and they were a member of the community despite that.
Mm.
You know.
That's
So
that's
it's
Ichi.
that's Ichi is that weird old guy who, you know, you talked about whatever with, you know. So
Mm-hmm.
I honestly really liked Ichi. I thought he was very shallow at times, and I still would say overall he's pretty shallow, but that doesn't necessarily mean he's a bad character. He's just kind of a shallow one.
I think I would like to think that that is the core trait of a Shonen Jump protagonist
Is what
is is being shallow enough to where anyone can relate with them in a way.
yeah, and I mean, we've had this discussion on a personal level. You know, the whole, you know, what is um the target audience, right?
Mm,
With specifically with shonen, it's going to be, you know, a 15-year-old boy, right?
yeah,
So, you know, you personally, the listener, may have been different when you were 15, right? But that really, if you remember the books you read, the novels you read, right, that's what's going to resonate with you like more because you haven't, I guess, developed the literary sense to go deeper than those
mm,
things, right? So um yeah, shallow but an all right guy. You can kind of relate to him in a lot of ways. for sure. Um, so
Carrying on.
carrying
So
on, I have some initial thoughts, and I have a few of
okay,
them, and these were all things I wrote them down as I read the manga,
okay,
right? Just as they came into my mind. So they might be out of place. I'm going to try to not necessarily read them all off at once, unless I end up
mm,
reading them all off at once. But
yeah,
the first one is there no direction in the plot slash basic plot. So it has
okay,
a very basic plot, at least in the beginning. The characters very fun, and we'll go deeper into how the story unfolds. The characters, I thought the characters overall were quite fun characters,
hmm,
and, and the art style, I was a very love hate relationship.
yeah,
It was there were things that I thought were done really nice and things that were done really uh uh kind of half effort. And then the
yeah,
final one I'll say now, because the other ones will kind of go into the weeds, is just kind of the main character is kind of like a very Mary Sue type.
yeah,
So the I have a couple more, but I think those are a bit more into the weeds. So why don't you kind of
yeah.
take us off from just like how the story unfolds?
So Ichi, as everyone knows, hunter in the woods. After he's kind of like shown his ideology and how he lives his life, not life. Well, I don't think he's getting one of those, but
Oh dang!
but
It's a
so
harem manga,
just
dude.
definitely not. But he
I have
shows
a
how he
take on that.
lives. Yeah, but
Well,
it shows
later
how he
on, I'll talk
lives,
about that.
and it shows that he encounters this magic, this creature, and he like right off the bat, it's like, this thing kills. Like this thing is not good. Like I can't trust this. It is like, okay, but like, what if it isn't? Maybe my instincts are wrong. So I'm gonna go figure this out, set a trap, whatever. But while that's happening, it decides that it's going to attack. You know, it senses people and is about to go attack this caravan.
It is a magic, so essentially,
Yes.
evil magical spirit that they call a magic. Could have called it something else.
And
They could have.
they explain what magic is. And what I so like not to deviate from the plot too much, but they end up showing what all these magics are. And it is their magical system. They're calling it magics to, I guess, to be
Well,
like a living creature
I
that is
think it's
imbued
because
with
if they
magic.
said, "Oh, we get our magical power from demons," when we kill a demon, we absorb its powers, and
They're not
it,
demons though. That's the thing. They're like spirits.
yes, but they're still kind of like demons, and I feel like that wording in this context of the story is actually negative. Like it would imply things that just wouldn't be good for the story. Like
No, it would be
I'm
closer
glad they
to.
didn't use a conventional term. I just wish it wasn't literally just called magic.
No, I see. I'm on the other side of the spectrum. I enjoy that they do call it that because
Okay,
on the
fair enough.
it's every creature is imbued with magic. It is like a living, breathing, magical power. And
Fair
these
enough.
characters,
I
they want to
understand.
obtain it and use it for its ability. So they're using the magic from the magic. I like that. I think that that's a fun way to,
uh,
I guess, have a magical system of.
yeah,
It's not really about the power of like everyone can be someone. You know what I mean? It's
yeah.
like your wit and stuff plays into it because you have to do a trial to get
No, the
the
magic system I
magics.
really liked. The magic system was really good. Where you can kill a magic, but it's going to not reincarnate, but it is going to come back if you kill it. That's
Hmm.
killing it is only temporary, but every single magic has a trial that it inherently knows. And if you succeed in the trial, which it doesn't have to tell you, it can keep its trial a secret.
Hmm.
Um, then once you do its trial, it's killed forever, and you actually absorb its energy forever until you die.
Until you die, which I think is
and
going to
then
be a plot point
no,
later.
yeah, and then they're released back into the uh wild, basically, and the magic
Because
can then reform.
correct me if I'm wrong. Like Full Metal Alchemist was a Shonen Jump manga, right? Or no?
Ooh, that's a thinker.
Okay.
It
Well, okay then. Well,
maybe it was, maybe it wasn't. That's besides the point.
but I could see them doing a witch serial killer type character, like a witch hunter, like another
Yeah,
witch that just wants to gain powers from other witches, and have that be a plot point. It might be too dark in tone for it,
or
but
better
that would
yet,
be such
like a man who feels like women are controlling society. You know
that
what I
too. I
mean?
could
And that
see that
it's
as
not
a
it's unegalitarian, and that's worth releasing the magics back into the wild for.
uh
And
huh.
you can see from the plot, like the magics are cognizant, fully capable of free thinking. So it's not too weird to think that like there would be people who could side with one, and
Mm-hmm.
magics who would be willing to side with humans. Not all of them, of course, but some that would. Right.
Yeah,
And then that's
because
a whole thing where like you
with the
could.
whole plot of it being that only women can control these magics, or at least that's what
Yes,
people think
that's what they thought, and
until.
now that has been uprooted. And I'll kind of let you continue with where you were going with the story. We went off into the weeds
So
here when
yeah,
you said not
so
to go off in the weeds.
my bad. But Ichi pretty much creates a trap for this being. It attacks this caravan, and then all of a sudden they're like, "Oh, the witches are coming!" Like pretty much like Superman is coming to save us type deal. Uh, and you meet the first witch, uh, Descaris,
Descaris.
Descaris, and she's the Abyssal Witch. So she shows
And
up.
she's pretentious as hell, and it makes me
Oh
upset.
yeah, she is. She is a very like she knows her worth, and so she kind of flaunts that. She's very like egotistical, and so she shows up and is fighting this creature, and she gets the trial, and the trial is to pierce the magic's heart. And she tries and fails because this magic doesn't allow women to pierce his heart.
No, the trials that a man has to pierce his heart.
Oh yeah, it's revealed that. And then homeboy Ichi comes up with a dagger. It goes right through the heart and gets the magic. And everyone's like, "What? A boy?" And he gets his magical powers. He
Well, only
becomes
Descaris is there actually when he
yeah.
pulls
Oh,
the thing.
oh,
But
but she's still like, "There's no way."
word gets out pretty quick though.
Yeah, and so it's shown that he becomes kind of like the first male witch. He gets the magic stone that was in the creature, and the creature, uh, what is his name? Ororo.
Uroro, yeah.
Ororo becomes kind of this devil on Ichi's shoulder.
So immediately when I read this, I was like, okay, Mob Psycho.
Yes,
Like it's like what is his name? Dimple
yeah, it's
from
very
Mob
close
Psycho.
to Mob Psycho with Dimple being kind of that bad
Right,
guy
the devil on your shoulder. You know what I
that
mean? Yeah.
is going to, I guess, kind of redeem itself later on in the plot. You can already kind of tell that, like, just the way it acts is very like
I really like
very
Ororo. I
evil.
think he's a fun
Yeah,
character.
he's
Yeah.
very evil, but in a comedical sense. And the main dude's like, "No, why would I kill this girl?" And he's like, "No, just do it, Ichi. Like you
Yeah,
just gotta do it."
you have to. And he's like,
And he's like,
I don't have
"No."
to. Like, I can just move on with my day.
He tries to push this narrative on Ichi of like this grand scheme of the witches hating him and all that stuff. But the funny part is that Ichi's just too dumb to even like think about it. He's just like, "Nah, that's not how it works." Like,
Yeah.
and I think I enjoy that character interaction.
Yeah, and I also think, kind of like you said, it could be a big plot point in the future where, like, what if Aurora is right?
Yeah.
Because you meet like more witches as the story goes on, and I mean, they're human, they have flaws, right? And I forget that some of the of these characters have very normal names, and some of them have just like names that are really difficult to remember. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
But I forget because the one of them is the leader of
yeah.
the witches.
Money Gold, like
Money Gold, yeah.
Monegold.
Where it's like, how am I gonna like? For me, it's difficult to remember. I'm sorry that my IQ is so low.
No, I've struggled. I think that is one of my biggest critiques. Is they're very like magical witch names, but like the way they're so magical that
Well, like when we
I
read
could never
Opossums, it
pronounce
was
this
hard
without
to
a
remember
guide.
character names because there were so many characters involved in the plot. And this one, it's you can't remember them because they're just weird. And you're like, why
Yeah,
would what? Descaros, huh?
yeah,
But
and she doesn't have like another name. It's not like that's also Jin. Like
yeah,
they're
it's not
just
like
like
their
yeah, it's
magic name.
Discaris.
But moving on from that, he basically gets the stone from the magic. He wakes up 3 days later, and is basically informed that he's absorbed this magic, right? And that um, every time he uses it, he falls asleep for 3 days because it's like the amplitude magic or something like that. So any spell that he uses in conjunction with the magic of the thing, um, or the magic of the magic, but I don't want to double say magic here, basically gets amplified to like exponential orders of magnitude. And
Mm-hmm.
when
Which
he learned,
already kind of shows how overpowered this character is going to
yeah,
get.
no, like right off the bat, I was kind of like, really, like, come on. But it is what it is. It's like I said, it's an
Yeah.
all right story. It's not bad. I wouldn't tell somebody not to read it if they said they wanted to. Um, and then what's kind of a good touch is once he realizes like his like what his power is, and he sees like how his battle destroyed the land. He does like a rejuvenation spell to like regrow the forest that he destroyed.
Knocks him out for 3 days.
But it's worth it. It's worth
Yeah.
it, I guess. You know, I think it would be worth it to regrow a forest and fall asleep for 3 days afterwards. I mean, not bad.
But he
Then
wakes up and is pretty much told like by Decuris that it's either he goes with her and becomes kind of like a mage assistant, not even like really granted the title of full witch, just be like, hey, you're kind of my pet, or you're gonna go and be hunted by all the other witches because they want to
she's
study
so
you.
conceited, and the whole time she's just using like mind games against this guy. You know what
And
I
it doesn't
mean?
work. It doesn't work until she's like, yeah, you can hunt them. And he's like, hunt. I can hunt the magics. Yes. Because
Yeah.
that's his character. He hunts.
No, that's exactly right. Afterwards, she goes ahead and takes him to the capital of this country they're in, this thing, which is actually kind of a cool sequence. You get to see
Mm-hmm.
this nice city, and you kind of get some insights into society about like the different rankings of witches, how there's, you know, um, it's kind of nice because there are questions about like, well, what do like commoner women like can like do they use magic? Can they use magic? You know, what's this like? How does it work? So they kind of break down how the witch association works. They break down how like normal women can use magic, and then
Mm-hmm.
men, right? Until Ichi couldn't use magic,
And
right?
I kind of like how they described it, where like not every woman can use magic, but they kind of have a low ranking. Like certain women are just kind of born with the ability to do magic, and they can just use basic spells like levitation or something like
Yeah,
that.
it's
Like
like
it's very like
all women have a certain potential, but they can't necessarily like spell cast, right? They can, you know, if you make a like a magical pot that can, you know, boil water on its own, right? A woman can use that, but a man couldn't, right? But that doesn't necessarily mean the woman using that pot could cast fireball, essentially. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
So they kind of break that down, which is good because then it just kind of like puts into perspective, like why not every woman just become like some super powerful like giga mage type thing, you know?
Yeah.
So that was nice. I don't like how they like I went like instantly forgot about the capital, like instantly, like it. And I think it'll come back. I think there will be more. They really focused on like the witch association headquarters and then like the outlying places they went to go hunt magics.
Yes, and I mean, I fully agree with you on that. I wish it showed a little bit more, I guess, slice of life stuff, like having Ichi kind of explore the world a little bit more than just, hey, I want to go become Ash Ketchum and catch all the magics.
Yeah,
Because it's kind of how the story is going from once he gets to the capital is, hey, we're going to keep sending
and
you out.
it's like there's this one anime I need to actually go back and watch it all. It's a Mamoru Oshii anime, and I'm a shill for that guy. I think everything he makes is really good. And but well, you grinned there. But anyways, um, he put out an anime called The Fire Hunters a while back, and I'm not going to say it's a masterpiece. It's all right. It's pretty good, but it's not anything super substantial, right? And there's a point where the main character, one of the main characters, it's this girl, and she's in some like village, and she has to go to like this capital city of like this country there in this world, and it's like a whole thing of like, well, how do you get to the capital, right? So it's like there's this whole lead up, and then you get to the capital, and there's also some other kind of side main characters, I guess, and there's a whole world that's happening in the capital, and based on the world you're seeing, that like a common person might experience completely different, or really puts into perspective. So they had an opportunity to kind of flesh out the capital and how different the capital is to these villages that they're going to hunt the magics at. But really, it's just focusing on like, oh, you saved the day, Superman. Thanks. And that's about
Yeah,
it. And it's like, oh, the village guy said thanks. Cool. And
because
next.
there's
So,
they show the main like magic association building a decent amount, but there's things that I wish that they would show more about it, like just the everyday life aspects. I mean, they're throwing us into a fantasy world where life is very different from our own. I wish they would show kind of like random nitty gritty details about that instead of it just being the sole point of this manga is just this dude fighting magics. Because that's really all they're giving us.
no, and that's kind of where my point where I said that there's no direction in the plot slash the plot's kind of basic.
Mm.
Um, you're really just left to this. Okay, Ichi gets magic powers.
Starts hunting.
Let's hunt. You know, but moving on so that we don't talk in circles. Even though I don't think we've started that yet. Sometimes we can. Um, he goes to the capital and kind of just messes, starts looking at all these magical items, and all the women are like, why are you looking at magic items? Like, it's interesting that you're so curious about them being a man. Accidentally steals a pair of boots that can like make him jump super high. And they find a letter that gets dropped, and he starts hopping around. And that's where you run into kind of the um, second main character, which is Kamugi, and you don't really realize that she's going to be a second main character, but that's kind of your first introduction to her. And she's like the clumsy kind of like, klutz of the story. You
Mm-hmm.
get like a really good trio between, Discaris, who's kind of this like pretentious, yet authoritative figurehead. And then you get Ichi, who's just kind of like goes with the flow, does his own thing. And then Kamugi, who's kind of, she's like comedic relief
Mm.
in a lot of ways. You know what I mean? Um, but no, despite that, like I said, the characters are fun, and that trio does work really well. But they go to the Magic Association. Um, Ichi begins to get pestered by many women, because they're all excited to see this. They, it's something that they thought was impossible. And he essentially gets admitted into the Association of Witches officially at this point. He kind of goes through a little bit of a trial, but it's like not really a trial. It's more so just like them watching him cast magic and see if he can do it. And that's where he actually attacks the mirror, because the mirrors, the witches use them to like cameras to see. So you have like all of these witches watching him through this camera for his trial, and he attacks the mirror instead of the target. And he basically is like, well, I like felt something weird coming from there.
The trial is hosted by this witch named Shira Badana. She's the analytical witch, and I don't know, I liked her. I think she was a cool character.
She's an all right character. I don't know how I feel about her.
I think she's a good plot device to show logistically why they should allow Ichi into the civilization.
She is a great device for what she does. But so where I said Ichi's that weird kid that you knew when you were growing up, but he was still kind of chill.
She's the weird kid that you didn't want to interact with.
Like you don't talk to. She's the weird kid that like, like you're a freshman in high school and she's at the playground playing like pretend Dragon Ball Z still. You know what I mean? Like
yeah,
like, that's
no, absolutely.
We all know that guy.
Apparently, she has purple hair. Looking at the wiki.
Really, she has purple hair. Yeah. Okay, that's a great segue into the art style, where I said I have a love-hate relationship with it. Basically the art style. It can range from anywhere with like some relatively low effort chibi style, which sometimes works.
I love it,
especially when they do like informational pages. I like that artwork to kind of just like make it fun. It can go from that to like Sailor Moon art style, but with a male lead character. And then some of the fight scenes had like gorgeous art. So the art was kind of varying, and it was intentional. I'm not saying that they had inconsistent art. I'm just saying that they chose the art in a specific way that I kind of disagreed with. Like I wouldn't have drawn it like that. But then again, like I can't draw worth anything. So, who am I? But it felt like I don't know. Like it's the art was just in a really weird place for me. Just a really weird place.
It's an art style that suits an anime kind of with comic gags that you can visually see, but I feel like as a manga it's a little bit different. Which I don't mind. It's very reminiscent of Full Metal Alchemist in terms of art style and how the characters become chibi and have those visual gags.
Sailor Moon, but then again,
I mean, I would say it's a mix of both. If I really had to say something, because you have like when the Elric brothers say something funny and they become like their little chibi forms, and like it's kind of like the joke gag. And then you have, I don't know, it's a visual gag.
Yeah, but there are some relatively jarring switches where you flip a page and then it kind of goes into that chibi gag, and it's just kind of like
I liked it,
and it feels out of place. Okay,
I don't think it did. Especially with Kamugi, I think she was one of the ones that did it the most in her like expressions and stuff. And I think, I don't know.
That's what but anyways, we're not streaming.
I don't know.
So you can't see my gestures at King, where I can look at him and just be like, boy, throw my hand over.
Side eyes me.
But no, you make a good argument. You make a really good argument. And I can say that.
Other than that, I think like the actual character designs, I think they're pretty good for Ichi and Ikaru's in how they look and their hair color and stuff. But I feel like what they do kind of weird is Kamuki has green hair, and it doesn't seem like she's someone that would.
So no, because they draw her without shading her hair in the manga, but in the
Mm-hmm.
colored pages and frames that they add, her hair is green, but they don't shade it darker. So it leads you to think that she's blonde when her hair is green, and then when you see the color renditions of her character, it's very out of place.
See, I imagined her with like a pastel pink or like a
A
maybe like
lighter
a strawberry
color,
blonde. Yeah.
even if it wasn't blonde per se, a lighter color. And kind of going off of that with the character design, you brought up a couple points, and I'll get to at least one of them, but kind of going off of your Discaris thing, I think from the waist up, they designed her like character look very well, but there's just something about like her pants that really makes me want to like punch a hole in the wall.
Uh
It's and
they are kind of weird. They're like genie pants.
not like that's the only way I can explain it, but they're not genie pants, and it just really irks me. You know what I mean? It just really
See,
is like
I didn't even think about this until you brought it up because in my mind she was just wearing a dress.
if
But
she
now
was
that I'm
wearing a dress,
seeing
that would have
it,
been great. If she was
now
wearing a
that I'm
dress, that would have
seeing
been
it,
great. Yeah.
it's just puffy pants, but like really puffy pants. I don't think it's the worst. I just think it's kind of weird.
I don't know. It really bugged me. Which is I don't know why it just bugged me. But waist up, no, her character design is great. Kind of going off of one point you made earlier, before we started recording. Ichi on the cover looks extremely flamboyant, but like when you actually like are reading it, he's very much just a dude. He's a
And
dude,
I could see him
both in
getting
character
that.
and look.
I could see him getting that appearance later, like him having like a ultimate form, or even later on in the series when he becomes like a full like high ranking member of the society. But like right now, he literally just looks like Tanjiro from Demon Slayer with a wizard hat. Like that's the only thing that's like, I don't know, really, I don't know. But the cover has him in this whole like feathered attire that's very like flamboyant nobleman, but like everything's made out of like raven's feathers and stuff. It's
And
very it's
sparkles
I mean, it's all
and
right.
fairy dust.
Yeah,
But
it is very like that. I think that was a reason why I was like, this might be something that we might just not enjoy entirely. And then it starts and it was like, oh, that's not him at all. Like
yeah,
Ichi's a feral child. Like, I don't
yeah,
know. I thought
it's
that was pretty interesting.
the character design was interesting. You kind of have to read it. I thought there was a lot of inconsistency between frames of the character design where characters could look. Um, and I'm not just talking about like different outfits. I'm saying like they can look kind of different from frame to frame in the manga. Where sometimes I would wonder what character I'm looking at, especially at the end of volume 2, where the final frame of volume 2, and you should know that there's spoilers for these first 2 volumes. Okay, is basically Ichi in a hospital bed with Kamugi right over, kind of like as if she's been sitting there a long time, so she's sleeping on like the foot of the bed, like her head's resting on it, and you can't really tell it's her.
I mean, in my opinion, I think the context is already there.
I
I don't think
mean,
there'll be anyone
here's the
else
thing.
that looks somewhat similar
How
that
no
would do
no
that.
no there is, because how many like this is kind of weird, but it's like it makes sense because like yes, she realistically is the closest person to him with light hair, but how many witches have you seen with light hair up until that point? A lot.
Oh, she shows up. She shows up with the rest of the research club, and they all look exactly like her.
Yeah. And that's kind of what I'm getting at, is it's like, they either look too similar or too different from, like, if they're amongst other people, they look too similar, and if they're on their own, they look too different.
I think the way that they're doing that though is because the witches that we are seeing that are like really powerful are kind of like the Justice League. Like they are above the rest. Being a witch is like a very high status.
Mm-hmm.
Meanwhile, you have Kamuki, who's kind of like a witch in training still, kind
What
of
is
like
she, a
Ichi,
witch
but they're
cadet or something?
yeah, she's a
Is what
witch
they call
cadet.
her?
But the thing is, they're trying to get Ichi to skip the cadet part entirely and make him a full fledged witch. And I think that adds a lot to the story and how characters treat him, is because he's skipping the entire nitty gritty portion of their society.
And that's kind of something it leads into volume 2, but at the end of volume 1 they fight like a shark magic. And I remember you were talking to me about that, and I thought it was kind of funny. Because it's like they find this shark magic, and it's like a lady shark, which I thought they did in a very well done comedic way, where they gave like the shark eyelashes and stuff like
Yeah.
that, and it was pretty funny. And she's like, "Oh well, my trial is to make me look fabulous," and I'm like, "Okay, like that's kind of stupid." And at first, I thought it was super dumb, but it was just very it was a very good bit of comic relief
Yeah.
towards the
And I
end of the
liked it
first
because
volume.
it shows, I don't know, even if these like magics are like, I don't know, destroying a whole village, they still have their own like wacky trials and personalities. And it also it adds for a little bit of comic relief in terms of his all of his magics inside of him interacting with one another,
Yeah,
because
because
they're
by the
different
end of volume 1, he
personalities.
has two magics. So it's he gets the first one, then Descaris and him go and hunt one on the way to the capital, right? Or is it
Hmm.
yeah, on the
Yeah,
way to the capital?
it's a lightning fox.
Yeah, it's a lightning fox. So he has two, and the spirits of the magic are inside of him, having dialogues with him internally and with each other internally, which is fun because I can imagine like he becomes like by volume whatever, I don't know how long this series will go, but like let's say you get to like volume like 23 and he's like becoming like a schizoid. He's like, "Oh, get out of my head." you know and I
And
think
I
that
think
would be kind of funny.
that's another interesting point, that like they introduce this ice witch. Okay, her name is
Yeah, no.
Toga Ice,
Okay, yeah, that's her name.
and they say that she's captured like 20 or something magics, and they're all ice related. My thought process is all of them have the exact same personality she does, which is very cold and kind of like majestic.
Whereas
And
whereas Ichi
even if you
is
look at
stupid and
Ichi's,
can't think straight, so just he
he
doesn't
has
care.
multiple.
He just
Yeah.
has a
And
million of these things in his head.
they kind of show it with the shark, which is an ice based magic. Her wanting to be pretty and her being kind of like, I don't know, very just like views herself in a high regard. And then you show the like person who's using all the ice magics, and they're very like cares about personal appearance to a high like point, and is very
Mm-hmm.
kind of cold in their demeanor. And I think that's kind of
Yeah,
an interesting,
and Ichi
whether that was intentional
gets
or
her by
not.
not the ice witch, but the ice magic, and now he has the fox, the dude from the beginning, and then this shark running around in his head, and they're all great characters, and the way they write them, they have a lot of good synergy.
Uh
Um,
huh.
but essentially, they get back to or do they get back to the capital? Because it just kind of cuts into them at the witches association,
They go back to the capital like 5 or 6 times, just like
but it's
off and
not
on.
really like expanded on. Again, it's like they had a lot of
No,
opportunity to like
like
show how the world
they
works.
take him to get his outfit, and they take him to go to like the wand R&D department, and
And the wands were
it's one
nice.
page.
Yeah.
Those are each like one page things.
And kind of going off the wands thing, just as a kind of a side note. So like every witch has a wand, but it's something that this isn't really unique, but they actually kind of like take the wand at like concept, and they make it more of like a magical focus concept. So really, your wand could be anything, and you see that with Ichi specifically. He uses his dagger, and then you have Kamugi, who she's part of this research um, uh, division, and hers is actually a magical pen, right? That she can also use as a magical focus. So I like that they did a magical focus and called the magical focus a wand rather than
Yeah, I
just like
thought that
making
was cool.
everyone have a wand. But kind of towards the end of or the beginning of volume 2, I think is where it starts. What were what is her name again? Uh,
Toga Ice
no, Shira Badana, but yeah, also Ice Lady. Um,
are having a debate on whether he should be accepted into the
yeah, so
society or
she's
not.
saying like, oh, he's has a lot of aptitude. The townspeople really like him when he saves them. There's not really any pushback by the population, by him, and that he should be a witch, and that it would be a really big deal. And everyone kind of begins to like agree with her. And then you have Toga Ice, who's like, no. Um, and I think it's more just her being jealous that he's not going to have to study at a witch academy for years. But she's like, he needs to study and understand and get all of this theory and how we act and our, the proper way, to be a
Yeah.
witch. He needs to understand that. And I think I should be his teacher and he should be under me and all this stuff. And it's very, very quick. You can understand that she just wants the prestige of being like the mentor of the first male witch, is basically
Mm,
the kind
yeah.
of like vibe I get. Is like she's like, well, I can't let Descaris, who's like kind of, they're like equals trying to be number one, right? So it's like you have number three, and then you have
hmm
two people who you don't know which one's two and which one's one. So it feels like she's just, it's kind of an ego thing. She needs to be number one, and if she can train the first male witch, that's gonna be like her number one. So there's a magic essentially that they need to hunt. It's a really big deal, and if he can take the magic from her, then she'll let Descaris continue. But if she's able to take the magic from under them, then she wants the ability to train him. And it's because they kind of want to go public with the information. They want to make him a witch and things, and she's kind of adverse to that. But and that's kind of where the first, not arc, but more serious story plot kind of comes into play. It's all been
hmm
very comedic up until this point, and things start to get kind of serious, you know. But
But it leads to her creating this challenge of, hey, if he completes this challenge before I do, we get to do the public thing. But if he doesn't, I get to train him personally at the academy. And
yeah,
it's a big thing. And so they set off to go hunt this mushroom magic in this village. It's kind of like a comical, like, oh, there's this mushroom, like, I don't know. It was just very like,
he takes living things and turns them into mycelium so that he can
yeah,
grow more mushrooms. So he basically, this is kind of dark. It's comedic, but he goes to villages, just basically turns everybody. I mean, realistically, how it would work is he would literally just turn them into decomposing minced meat and just grow mushrooms on top of them.
pretty much.
So it's kind of
It's
dark
a,
when you actually think about
yeah.
it. But
And then they find him and realize that his challenge is to like cut him in half. And that's the whole thing of what they're
well,
trying to
he
do.
has a root that goes into the ground, and you need to kill him by cutting the root.
The root.
Yeah,
And then out of nowhere, this I would guess white hair, but like knowing the character design, like it might
you
be
don't
blue.
know. It could be black.
It could be. But this man shows up with this big wizard staff. And my thought was like, didn't they said there's only one male wizard? But it turns out that he is a magic and
But
you could tell
he's in the form of a human, and they do that really well because you see this very like extravagant man walk by Ichi, and everyone else is just kind of like, it's just some dude dressed sharp, I guess, right? But Ichi
Mhm.
just kind of like looks back at him, and it's like, huh, and looks back at
And then
him.
he disappears.
Yeah, and it's kind of like Ichi's like, and it goes into the what you were talking about earlier. Ichi can kind of sense risk in a way, so
Hmm.
immediately he's like something's not right.
So
Um,
as they're hunting this mushroom, he appears in the sky and creates a dome around this village, this dome of like bones. It's like this force field and traps him and Ichi in the dome alongside this village. And he reveals that he is a god magic who's wanting to, I guess, just kill. I don't know if he really said that he has a
he
goal.
warps, but it's not warping in like the sense of like moving. It's warping in the sense that he's taking matter and warping the matter to destroy it. And it's like there was a prophecy, and they get relayed this just you know like just a few hours, if they would have known this a couple hours earlier.
But a prophecy
um
gets relayed stating that everyone in that area is going to die.
yeah, and
Which
it's
I kind of want to add on to. Who's making these prophecies, number one? And
yeah,
two, the prophecy didn't come true.
I think it wasn't a prophecy that everyone was going to die. It was just that this town was going to be destroyed and warped or something like that. I think I'd have to look specifically, but um this demon or not demon, this magic is the one that's warping things. And 15 years prior, he warped a different village and killed everybody.
Yeah.
So he appears, and it's kind of funny because immediate like Ichi has the mushroom magic, like he's about to kill him, and immediately as soon as that guy shows up, he's just kind of like, okay, it's go time. Drops everything, forgets about it, and goes. And I think that's again kind of a shallow character trait, but still kind of like it shows you that he's a good person, and he kind of immediately forgets about I don't want to go through this kind of like, I don't want to be under this like ice witch lady because I don't like her. But in the end, it's like, well, I don't care if she gets this magic now because we have bigger fish to fry.
Mm.
So he
Bigger magics to hunt.
yeah, bigger magics to cast. I don't know.
Oh,
I don't know. But he goes, and they have a very interesting dialogue where he's explain the magic is explaining why he's doing the things that he's doing, and Ichi then attempts to kind of use his full power against this magic and defeat it for the sake of the town, which is really dumb because the whole time I was like, well, what's this guy's trial? What's his trial? What's his trial? And Ichi doesn't even try to suss it out or like just straight up
he
ask
just
the
wants to
guy.
kill him.
He just tries to kill him, and I'm like, are you? Yes, he's stupid. That's actually part of his characters. He's dumb. So yes, he's dumb. So it's just kind of like, oh, come on. So he passes out, which is going to be for 3 days, and then I mean, all hell kind of breaks loose. But
But
you don't really see the resolution of it.
Dakuras pops in and is like trying to get what's it called? The the god magic to
Yeah,
say the
she's
trial.
able to break into the dome, and she's
Mhm.
trying to suss out the dome. Ice Lady shows up. They kind of reconcile a little bit and are like, okay, we got to do
Common
something.
goal.
Yeah. And apparently they're friends, sort of, I guess, frenemies. I don't know. But and that's kind of where it ends with the magic stuff, because you kind of, and this is where we were talking about,
He
we were
teleports away.
yeah, and we were kind of talking a little bit about like the slice of life aspect. This is where you get a little bit of it, because then you go into Ichi's head, and he's stuck in his head because he just knocked himself out for 3 days, and he's actually in his inner mind, and he's around all of the magics that he killed, that he's a
Mhm.
slew. So they're all talking to him, and of course you have a, what is his name, Uroro or
Aurora.
whatever, Uroro, and he's basically just kind of like trash talking him the whole time, like, come on, man, like you knew this stuff was gonna happen, like why didn't you just like run away? You could have escaped all this crap. And the other magics are saying other things, and we finally complete this 2-volume journey with him waking up in a hospital bed with Kamugi, who we didn't really talk about too much, but she's a good character.
No, she was very good. I think we didn't talk about her much because
she's a
her
side
moments
character who
were,
doesn't do anything except
yes,
dress a shark up. The only thing she did was dress up a shark.
she dresses up a shark. She has a very kind of like heartfelt moment with Ichi in the back of a carriage, and it kind of makes you. That was like probably one of the best parts of me reading it, was just having kind of like a moment where it's deviating from the hunting magic, was just them sitting down and kind of talking.
Well,
And him,
it's giving you some background. Like if you, pretty much 9 times out of 10, the manga, when it's trying to give you information or background or something like that, it just kind of like vomits out long explanation. Whereas when you get to know Kamugi, it's actually a very like well integrated part
it
in the
slows
story.
down for a minute and like actually like,
yeah, it slows down for a minute, and you get it more than just like an essay on a page. You get actually like a a heartfelt explanation, which is nice. But she's kind of like she's fallen asleep and she's just like resting against the side of the bed, so it's been 3 days later. That at least Kamugi and Ichi are fine, right? We obviously Discaris is going to be fine, main character energy and stuff like that, and plot armor, they're going to be fine. But it does kind of leave an indication of like, well, what happened while he was asleep?
Yeah.
And you don't
and
know.
Also, I don't know. It leaves what is going to become of the challenge that they have originally set out. Like, is Toga Ice going to be like, oh, he failed the challenge?
Yeah.
And I don't know.
I think
feel
what's
like
going to happen is they're going to have some agreement,
training
or
arc,
something. That they're going to say, oh, we shortened the training, or oh, you did. Like, he has plot armor. We're going to get what we want as the reader, which is for him to continue to fight these magics, because we don't want to read a whole manga series. Well, actually, this would actually be kind of cool. Like a whole like wizard school manga, which would actually be kind of cool. But from what we've
martial might of magic.
So, okay, maybe we'll have to do that one in the future. But the manga has established itself as not being that. So as the reader, it would be a bit too jarring to
see. I hope that they do a small training arc.
A small training arc would work.
Have him go to classes and kind of see it from that point of view. And I could also see him being kind of feral during the classes and being like, yeah, he's kind of this dude's unteachable. Like we can't teach him. Like,
yeah, that would also be funny. Like, they kind of get to their wits' end and then finally just say, okay, fine, Discaris, take him into the field and just see what your stuff does to him. You're like, you may be right. But if they do, kind of what I kind of made a comment about, like, oh, this is just a harem manga.
Yeah.
This is what I was thinking is, this is like, well, this is getting a bit off topic, but this is like a harem manga. Now I don't think it's a coincidence, because this, manga was, written by women, right? But it's kind of like a harem, as I think a girl would dream a harem would be like.
Yes, it is. It is similar to, I guess, kind of how.
Whereas, like, when
Oran High House Club is predicted.
When a man writes a harem, he wants to be like a main character surrounded by like hot women who are easy to get.
Mm-hmm.
Versus like this one is like a guy surrounded by these women, but like it's really weird, and like the kind of the character architecture, I feel like, is not shonen-esque, but the story is.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas I'm kind of like a bit mixed on like that type of thing. Like, I'm trying to put it into words, but where it's like I'm kind of mixed on like, the character interactions seem kind of odd, but I feel like a lot of the girls that I know would like it,
it's
but the
it's kind
story
of a
itself is the
shoujo manga.
opposite. It's a mix.
Yeah,
It's a
it's in the middle.
mix. So it's kind of weird, which could be its downfall, could be its what's the
Mhm.
opposite of downfall? Its rise to prominence, right? Versus its decadence.
Yeah,
The mixture could make it
it's
really good or really
decorous.
bad. It's what? It's decorous. Yeah, sure. Play on
But
words there.
anyways, as we're nearing the end of the episode, do we want to do our traditional review of
Our
the
what do you mean
the point score?
traditional? What
The
do you mean
point
traditional?
score.
The point score is new. We didn't start doing the point score till last episode. Yeah, we can do the point score. So, what did you think of the characters, King?
I liked them. I would put them at a 7 or 8.
Okay, I'd say a 7.
Mm-hmm. I
I
think
thought
I like.
out of 10, I think a 7 out of 10 is a good place to put the characters. The characters
I
were
think
fun, but they were shallow, but that won't stop you from enjoying the characters.
my favorite being Kamugi.
I think that she has a lot of potential, and I think that we're going to see her become a very powerful character if you continue reading this.
Who is your favorite character in this?
Dang, I don't know. That's a good question. One of the three mains for sure, but I can't decide between the three of them.
Yeah,
Maybe not Discaris because like she kind of gets a bit too pretentious for me. So probably
yeah,
Kamugi or Ichi himself.
yeah. And then I guess next is, or we'll go with 7 for that. Next is
7.
art style, right?
Art style 5. And it's hard because I think there are parts of this manga that are definitely greater than a 5. That
I
definitely
would say
surpass that
I
100%.
would say
There's no debate.
7. I'd say
7.
7 or 6. So I guess we'll
So,
we'll round to the 6.
okay. We'll just say a solid 6. Solid snake. But no, just because it's like the inconsistency makes me not want to rank it higher.
Yeah,
From my opinion, that is, right? This is a matter of opinion. But it's like when there's stuff that I can say that is like really good, but then there's also a lot of stuff in the manga that like I'm kind of like unhappy with. It's kind of like, well, where do I put that? Do I grade it off the best or the worst? Right.
yeah,
What matters more to the reader?
yeah. Then
But
we have
definitely some
plot,
interesting
right?
art. And what about the story?
Um, I would give it a 7. I think there's definitely things that I wish it would have added a little bit more, like slice of life moments, more
And
world building outside the magic system.
I'm
But I
telling
feel
you,
like it
I would
can
still give it a
regain that.
5. But you
I
continue with
feel
your
like
I'm not cutting you off.
I feel like it could still regain the slice of life elements that I'm kind of
Mm-hmm.
looking for, especially with him, because he got more than just knocked out from his magic. He kind of got knocked out from like injuries too, where I could see this being kind of like like a self recovery arc in a way.
And going off of that note, um, kind of the same thing with opossums that we
Mm-hmm.
talked about, where you read through this first part of the story, and I think if we never revisit these, I think that might be a common occurrence depending on the manga. I can see the story growing, but
Yeah,
will it? And there are a lot of good reviews of this manga, but one that really hit me was like uh, terrible storytelling and pacing, a lot of info dumps and expositions with no actual progress. There's no such thing as a goal or even a protagonist motivation, is a review that I read. So reading in 2 volumes, I can see where that person's coming from. I don't think they're wrong, but I don't think they're right.
I think we're on the brink of that changing, though.
Yes.
I think I think we're just shown a really powerful magic, and now it's kind of wondering: is there a centralized like evil league or evil society within the magics that's kind of doing that? And then also like I don't know. I wonder if there are evil witches,
No, that's
and
a
I
good
wonder
that's a
they
good
also talked about there being another magic association other than the one that we're shown.
yeah, well that's just the witch association of that like city or that country or that
Yeah.
region. So it does leave a lot open for different witch schools and associations and how they perceive and want to act. So there's a lot, and kind of the format is we wanted to read, only a couple volumes so that we had more to play with if we wanted to revisit. So
Mm-hmm.
honestly, like, I think that would be a possibility, because I think that the story might grow a bit more
Mm-hmm.
after getting 2 volumes into it. I really do. But with our overall score, we're looking at averaging of a 6.3.
Which isn't that lower than a possum?
Yeah, it's lower.
I don't feel like it was.
No, but
I personally enjoyed this way more than a possum.
which the number score, like, it's nice to put it into a number, but then again, there is discretion involved.
But what I will say about opossums is we gave it a third volume.
Exactly. We gave Opossums the 3rd volume, and I think that might be one of the um, a large contributing factor here. I think there is more to play with if you got a bit further in the story than what we
Mm-hmm.
got. So, like I said, I don't know if I would like tell somebody to go out and like buy this and read it, but I for sure wouldn't tell them to, not. If they said, you
Yeah.
know what I mean, I really wouldn't, because it has a really good flair to it.
Meanwhile, for me, if someone was like, "I'm going to start opossums," I'd be like, "Ooh."
Yeah, Opossums is all right.
I'd say
It's
set some
okay.
of the pictures as your wallpaper on your computer, but like as a manga by itself,
So what you're saying? If somebody told you to read Opossums, you'd say, "Oh, go be a poser," but like, don't actually like be a
yeah,
poser.
just put it as your wallpaper. Like
I wouldn't say
beautiful
that.
art.
I would tell them that it would, well, I need to read the whole thing to give them a full synopsis of
Okay,
that thing.
just to clarify, the only reasons why opossums got such a high score is because we rated the art a 9 or 10.
Yes, the art was.
That is the only reason.
It
The
had
other
really good
scores,
art.
it scored lower than this manga. It's just
Yes,
the art carried opossums.
but let's not get off into the weeds. We're talking about Ichi the
Yeah.
Witch here, and Ichi the Witch got a
Anyways,
6.3. But like I said, use discretion. Just because we give it a number score doesn't necessarily mean it's bad, right? And
and
also,
if
a
you
6 out of 10 is
enjoy,
actually north of being average, so it's better than average actually. But I'm not going to get
yeah,
into statistics. I'm not in college anymore, so
join us next week on the Statistics Men.
yeah, the
We'll talk
statistics man,
about
where we talk about what is it?
statistics.
I'm trying to think, dude. I learned statistics and dumped all that knowledge. But anyways,
But
in closing, overall, as you can see, we liked the manga pretty well, probably right in the middle, for
mhm.
a fair amount of readers. If you're interested in reading it, definitely go pick it up. Let us know what you think, and we hope you'll catch us in the next one.
Remember to, I guess, you can find all of our episodes on every platform you want. And
Yeah.
yeah,
So you can
a little
find
bit
all
of
of our
self advertising.
self advertising here, right? You can find
If
all
you're
our
listening to
episodes on
this,
Spotify or YouTube or whatever.
yep.
But thank you for tuning in. We'll see you next week. This has been the Manga Man.